ওকে গাইজ, আমরা এখন বেলফাস্টে নামলাম। বেলফাস্ট হচ্ছে কি নর্দার্ন আয়ারল্যান্ডের ক্যাপিটাল। সো আমরা এখন এক্সকারশনে যাচ্ছি, একটা 3 আওয়ার ট্যুর, বাস ট্যুর। এই বেলফাস্টের ভিতরে কোথায় কী আছে সব কিছু ঘুরে দেখাবে। সো এই হচ্ছে কি আমাদের এখানে ডক করা, যার ভিডিও আমি আগের এপিসোডে দেখাইছি, যেখানে ডক করছিল। সো বাসে উঠে আবার কথা হবে, বাই।
Aboard. So you have lady doing a wee dance there over to the right. There you go. So we're going to head around Belfast, the capital city of Northern Ireland. The weather is beautiful. I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that already. And I would love to say it's always like this in Belfast, or in Northern Ireland, but it's not true. But enjoy it whilst it's here. That's what I say. So Belfast is the capital of Northern Ireland. We are not a huge place. You can drive for about 50 minutes and go to another country. That would be the Republic of Ireland if you go south on the M1 from Belfast towards Dublin. Our population in Northern Ireland, 1.9 million people. We are part of the United Kingdom. Belfast as a city, as the capital of Northern Ireland, has a population of about 350,000 people in the Belfast City Council area. As we go out into Greater Belfast, that now includes the city of Lisburn to the south and Newtownarry to the north, it's about 500,000 people. Most people in Northern Ireland live on this eastern side. As you go further west from Belfast, the population starts to sort of dwindle a little bit. So we're not a big place. You can go anywhere in Northern Ireland within about 2 hours or thereabouts. You obviously sealed up Belfast Lock. Belfast as a city, it's not an ancient city. Cities in Ireland like Dublin, Cork, Waterford, etc. Can trace their heritage back to the Vikings, or back to the 8th, 9th century. But Belfast was really settled in the early 1600s, roughly the same time as Jamestown was being established on the eastern side of what is today the United States of America. Now you're going to get a lovely view if you look out to the left, and you're going to look down Belfast Lock, and you'll see the wide entrance. And that was one of the reasons why Belfast was used, the area of Belfast was used as a settlement, because it gave wide access in from Belfast Lock. The sailing ships of the era 400 years ago got a degree of autonomy with Dáil Éireann, and the new government was set up. But in the north, the 6 most Protestant and pro-British counties became the new state of Northern Ireland, and we had our own Prime Minister from 1921 and our own government here. Initially they were meeting in a building close to Queen's University, which you'll see later on, until this new building was built, and it is very impressive. It sits up on a hill. Yep. We're going to go in, a lot of times when I do this tour, we can only go in a side entrance because it's after time, but we're going to bring you in the main entrance, and it is very, very impressive, and hopefully you'll agree with that as well. Do we have Canadians aboard? Sorry, I should have asked. We do have. Well, when we go up the avenue, look very closely at the lovely lampposts, because at the top of the lamppost there are little moose heads, and they were a gift from the Canadian government. So thank you very much, Canadians. Appreciate it. Americans, we're still waiting, you know. And where else? Any Aussies aboard? Australians? No? Kiwis? Anybody from the UK? Yes? No? So, well, wherever you're from, folks, you're very, very welcome. I think it's mostly Americans, I think we have, and Canadians, so you can shout out your own nationality later on. So it is a beautiful building, but when the new state of Northern Ireland was created, it also created a minority community, because about a third of the population were Catholic, were nationalists, who didn't particularly want to be part of a new British state, but all of a sudden that was the reality. This was a symbol of oppression as well. You've got Britannia at the very top, rule Britannia. The Parthenon represented up there as well. It's all about greatness and goodness, justice, etc. Look carefully, by the way. At the very top, it's darker. The building is darker at the top. Why? Because they camouflaged it just before the Second World War. They painted it black. They painted it with tar, and to stick to the walls they used, I'm not joking, cow manure to stick to the walls. We joke and say that the manure seeped its way down into the debating chamber. So, folks, this will be a quick sort of 10 minutes if you want to get a photograph or two. We also joke, you've got robot land. Of course, a new police force came out of the Good Friday Agreement. Formerly it was a Royal Ulster Constabulary, but even the name would trigger people as connections with unionism, etc. So it's a neutral name, the Police Service of Northern Ireland, PSNI. So a lot of things are now, let's say, neutral in Northern Ireland. The flag, the official flag of Northern Ireland is the Union flag, or the Union Jack as some people call it. It will be flown on the building, but only on official occasions like the King's birthday. It probably will be flown tomorrow because it's the 80th anniversary of Victory in Europe Day. But formerly it would have been flown every day. So these are issues. There's people want, reports and want to look at murders that happened during the Troubles. There's all sorts of issues that we're still sort of dealing with here from the Church of Ireland Anglican Episcopalian Cathedral. Beautiful building. And if you look carefully at the stonework on the cathedral out to the left, you'll see different coloured stone. They were adding to it over the years. It's not a very ancient cathedral. The foundation stone was only laid in 1899, so in European terms, not very old. But there's also a big spike coming out the top, the Spire of Hope, as it's called. It was only said to be complete when that was put up in 2007. One of the reasons why they couldn't put a proper spire on the cathedral was the subsoil all around here, close to the river, is a black sticky mud known as Belfast sleech, and it doesn't support much weight. So any new buildings that are built today in Belfast, for the first 6 months they're just piling down to bedrock that can be up to 100 feet below. So that's St Anne's Cathedral. Some of the street art you've seen over to the right. Belfast Telegraph Office over to the 1870, and our central library, beautiful building built of sandstone to the right. So this is central Belfast. A lot of the older buildings are Victorian. We have this lovely Art Deco building now on the right. It's not looking its best, it's going to be refurbished. It was the Bank of Ireland, this white building on the right. It dates to about 1930. On the other side, directly sort of opposite, across from it, is another Art Deco building. It formerly was a Sinclair department store. It's got a lovely clock on top, and it dates to roughly the same period, about 1932. We lost some of our old Victorian buildings, from the 60s, 50s, 60s. We also, by the way, had a blitz in Belfast back in 1941. Because we were obviously part of the United Kingdom, part of the war effort, like the one on the right, the British Army were called onto the streets in August 1969. Trouble had flared in the second city, Derry, Londonderry. Catholic youths had attacked an orange Protestant march, and the police were engaged in rioting, etc. The trouble then spread to Belfast, but the police were, coming. They were. It was meant to be a boutique hotel. It hasn't happened, sadly, and it's been a victim of arson attacks, so it's not looking its best. But there is a tunnel that joins the two. Underneath the road where we are right now, there's a tunnel that joins the courthouse to the jail, over on the left now. This is a Crumlin Road jail, one of the finest examples of a Victorian jail anywhere in the United Kingdom. Today it is a visitor centre. It opened in 2012 as a visitor centre. But both the jail and the courthouse were sort of decommissioned. They stopped using them around about the mid-1990s. There were 17 executions in the jail on the left. The last was 1961. There was a man called Robert McGladrey was hanged. We didn't have a hangman in Northern Ireland, so a hangman had to be brought over from London, from Kerry Point. But this would have been very much a militarised area from the early 70s, when lots of terrorist activity was happening. There were prosecutions. And if you didn't do well at your court appearance, your trial, you were literally sent down to the tunnel to serve your sentence in the jail. But way back when it was first established, the jail opened in 1845, and there were children, believe it or not, children as young as 10 and 11 served their sentence in the jail for theft and stealing small items. This is the Mater Hospital, now on the left, a very busy hospital during the Troubles, the conflict. Our hospitals here in Belfast had to deal very quickly, learn how to deal with gunshot wounds, burns from bomb injuries. But that hospital now on the left was a very busy hospital, certainly from the early 1970s. There's another guy we're looking to. Everybody's wanting to walk out in front of a bus. It's not a healthy thing to do, ladies and gentlemen. Just a reminder: never walk out in front of a big bus. You're not going to win. So I talked about Chaim Herzog. His father was a rabbi here in Belfast, and at one stage we had it wasn't a huge Jewish population, but maybe about 1,500 back around about 1900 or thereabouts. Today it's a very small Jewish population, but the old synagogue is, if you see the cream building coming up on the left, just behind it is an old red brick building, and that was the old synagogue. It was purpose built by a man called Sir Otto Jaffa. The Jaffas had come over from Hamburg in Germany about 1850, Daniel Jaffa, and helped to establish our linen industry in Belfast, a Jewish family of course. But it was his son Otto Jaffa he was actually Lord Mayor in Belfast for 2 terms around about 1899, 1900, and he financed the building of the synagogue. It's no longer Custom House. It dates to about 1856 over to the left. Also Charles Lanyon, our major architect in the mid to late Victorian era. As Karen turns right, if you look out to the left, you'll see a big fish. Why is it called a big fish? Because it is a big fish, simply. It symbolises the cleaning up of the River Lagan. It's a big salmon, but the scales of the salmon tell the different stories of Belfast, from the different revolutions, the United Irishman Rebellion, the Titanic story, the linen industry. All the stories of Belfast are reflected on the scales of our big fish. It also symbolises the cleaning up of the River Lagan, because the Lagan Weir was built in 1994. The huge barriers, 4 huge barriers, can be raised or lowered, but it keeps the water in upstream. Everything to the right, the water level is maintained. Everything to the left of the weir is still tidal, up and down with the tide. So you can see the weir now over to the left, huge barriers of the weir. And again, that's the Queen's Bridge to the left, 1966. And the Angel of Thanksgiving, if you didn't get a look the last time, you'll pass, we'll be passing her on the left here now. It'll be on your left. She was influenced by, it was an old friend of mine. Her name was Myrtle Smith, who was from Belfast. But Myrtle was a Christian Scientist and lectured in Christian Science, mostly in America. But she was from Belfast. But Myrtle was influenced by Thanksgiving Square in Dallas, Texas. And Myrtle always said that she wanted Belfast to have its own Thanksgiving area. So she was one of the major influences to have this lovely sculpture put up. It was put up in 2007. The artist is Andy Scott, very well known UK artist. So it's a lovely symbol of the new Belfast, So a lot of these new buildings you see out to the left were only built in the late 90s, when the political situation was starting to normalise in Northern Ireland and in Belfast. The Magistrates Courthouse to the right took over from the old Crumlin Court that I pointed out earlier. It dates to about 2001. The beautiful waterfront hall, you'll see it as it's an auditorium with the dome out to the left. It opened in 1997, and then the Hilton Hotel, the BT building, all late 90s. Why would you build a lovely building with lots of glass when a terrorist bomb would destroy it? So yeah, it was only then in the late 90s that developers started to build these lovely buildings. That's the lovely waterfront hall auditorium. But this building now on the right is the High Court really for Northern Ireland. We had to build a new High Court. This opened in 1933 because the old High Court was in Dublin, and because of partition of 1921 we had to build our own. Northern Ireland was its own state at that stage. We had to build our own High Court for the new state of Northern Ireland. As we turn right, look left, I talked about the Blitz in Belfast. The German Luftwaffe came over in 1941, April. And this market, it's a covered market, it's a weekend market. It opens Friday, Saturday, Sunday mornings. It's a lovely old building, dates to the 1890s, built of this lovely red orange Belfast brick. But that was closed, and it was actually cleared in April 1941, and it was used as a makeshift morgue after the Blitz in Belfast. Such was the loss of life. 3 public swimming baths were also drained and used as makeshift morgues. So we couldn't deal with the So that's the beautiful Lanyon building. Charles Lanyon designed it. Similar, he was influenced by Magdalen College, Oxford in England, but Magdalen College would be 300 years older than this. So this was opened when Queen Victoria visited Belfast. She officially opened the building, so she was here herself to open it. Back then it was Queen's College. It was one of 3 Queen's Colleges of Ireland. The other 2 were in Cork and in Galway, founded by Queen Victoria. You can study all the major subjects. You can do law at Queen's Belfast, medicine, engineering, all sorts of business studies courses, etc. There's a war memorial just inside the gate there as well. Whitla Hall is the hall just up here on the left now. If you look carefully, there's a bust of former Senator George Mitchell from the state of Maine, and he chaired the peace negotiations that would culminate in the signing of the Good Friday Agreement. In weather like this, we'll go and enjoy, maybe do a bit of studying, ready for their exams that are coming up now. The Kelvin statue to the left, that's William Thompson. Lord Kelvin was born in Belfast. He came up with the first 2 laws of thermodynamics involved with the cable laying back in the 1870s or so. Transatlantic cable laying he was involved with as well. But he was a Belfast physicist. Our beautiful Ulster Museum now coming up on the left. All sorts of artworks in there, exhibits from all over the world. But also there's an Egyptian mummy in there called Takabuti, and she's been terrifying children, school children, for about 100 years now. So it's been based there from about 1920 thereabouts. So this area is known as Stranmillis, and Queen's University own over 300 buildings in and around this area. The David Kerr building now on the right, all sorts of faculties there, chemical engineering, sociology I think is in there, all sorts of faculties based there, chemistry, yeah. A lot of the streets here on the left would be student accommodation. The Ashby building is the Faculty of Engineering on the right, and as we turn right, I'll point out another couple of faculties. So this is a very vibrant area all around here, lots of students, lots of nice coffee shops, etc. Nice tree-lined avenues, it's very, very nice. We're coming into Chlorine Gardens. Some people say it's the cleanest street in Belfast. It's a little joke there, sorry about that. Some famous people who've attended Queen's University.
এটা হচ্ছে এখানকার সিটি হল, এই বেলফাস্টের সিটি হল এটা। আয়ারল্যান্ডে এসে বেলফাস্টে এসে একটা বাঙালি রেস্টুরেন্টের খোঁজ পেলাম, নাম হচ্ছে 7 স্পাইসেস। এখানে ভাত, খাসির মাংস আর চিংড়ি মাছ অর্ডার দিলাম। ক্রুজে এতদিন বাঙালি খাবার না খেয়ে খেয়ে একদম, আর মানে বাঙালি খাবারের খুব ক্রেভিং হচ্ছিল, সো খুঁজে খুঁজে এটা বের করে এখানে চলে আসলাম। ওকে,
That's Bombardier. So that's where they make the plane, or the wings for the airlines.
oh, we're here.
Yeah, in there, yeah. That's
Wow.
why it's a big long building. That's where they make the wings for Airbus, Boeing, and whatever else you have.
Wow. So in this building.
In that building, yeah. When we get past this bit here, if you look down to your left, you can see a silver building that's shaped like the front of a boat. That's the Titanic Museum.
What time it's open to?
Titanic Museum?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I would imagine around 9 o'clock tonight.